Got a couple emails here, rad@radradio.com. First one is from Jim and Deanna.
Hey, Jim and Deanna.
One of our favorite guests and advertisers is Shelby Elias from financewithshelby.com. They wrote in and said after miserable communication from a major bank while attempting to obtain a home equity loan, we reached out to Shelby's team for help. We were amazed by their up-to-date communication as each step of the process was completed. It was effing seamless, and we got our money after about 3 weeks. Thanks, Shelby, for having an awesome team.
Aww.
That's the key, isn't it?
It is.
The team, right?
Yes.
You got to have them, especially you, because you're so busy now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in the very first days. It was contact Shelby and he'll get back to you personally, which was your goal.
Yep.
And then after a few months, it was like contact Shelby and somebody from his team. We'll get back to you because I mean, even though we hear all these stories of so many people that are still hearing from you personally, and I know you contact as many as you can. That's why you need such a great team and work so hard on it. And
exactly it.
And speaking of teams, you and your son made quite the team at Bryna-Palooza. A lot of people met you, but he was out there selling mistletoe, and I hear he made out like a bandit.
He did really good, yeah.
Now, was this mistletoe he made?
Yep, we made it at the house. So we took mistletoe from our backyard, and we wrapped it up with some ribbon and put some fake berries in there. And so we did it as a family. Everyone contributed, and he went out there and sold it.
Now,
I love that.
Was this his idea, or is this something you kind of mentioned?
Well, it actually turned out to be my wife's idea. But basically, at first, we were like, okay, we need to think of something to sell. So their first idea was Rice Krispie treats. And then they said, how about slime? We can make slime and sell slime. And then, it just kind of dawned on us. We're like, hey, we used to do this when we were kids, and let's sell some mistletoe.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a good day out there?
It was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, and good move with the mistletoe because the Krispy Kreme market is so oversaturated.
Patricia wrote in and said, no, this is too vague, I think, wants to know if your Tahoe Airbnb is all booked up. Well, we need dates.
No, and we have multiple. So, yeah, just call us and let me know. You can send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll let you know what we have available in Tahoe at any time.
What's the website as well? Is it
EmeraldBayVillage.com? That's the hotel, but we also have tons of Airbnbs, cabins of all sizes all around the lake.
Do you have like how far out? I'm like if this is like a last minute holiday idea, do you have anything?
I mean, it just kind of depends. Sometimes I rent out my personal cabin too. So
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it just depends.
That would be a story.
Some of them I have just kind of sitting there on reserve. So always send me a DM.
If you got questions, always 888-989-9811. We got some emails here for Shelby Elias from financewithshelby.com. That's RAD@radradio.com. One of the things I talk about when you come on is sometimes I got to back things up because we think, well, Shelby's on every month and we talk about this and but not all the same people are listening all the same time.
Yeah.
Plus, as we've learned, not everybody is paying attention because they're like, what do I care? I don't want to own a home. I don't want to own a home. I don't need to get a loan. And then suddenly they're like, oh, that Shelby guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be on. I got to ask this question. So this is very basic stuff. In fact, the previous emailer alluded to it. Wendy wrote in, said, does Shelby work on getting people home equity lines of credit? We bought our home in 2019. Our equity's gone way up. We want to do improvements to our home. We wanted to know what we need to do and how it would work. And also, would you need to run our credit for it?
Yes. Home equity line of credit is a very similar process to refinancing. And so you would need to get your credit ran. You need to fully qualify for the loan, and you have to do an appraisal. So it is basically just the same process as a regular loan. And then we go over the terms with you, and it takes about 21 days to complete. But you can use it for home repairs. You can really use it for anything that you want, and we do them. Yeah.
So that's the big broad scope of things. But what is this process you have where you can run their credit without dinging their credit? Because that's what a lot of people run.
Yeah. So we can do a soft pull on your credit just to see exactly where it's at before running it. But you will have to end up running your credit.
So if her concern is just you're gonna run it.
Yeah.
That can be last minute, but if her concern is, my credit might not be high enough, you do have to still qualify.
Yes.
So now, what is the difference exactly between a home equity line of credit and a refinance? Like we did a full refinance with you.
Yeah.
What's different about doing a home equity line of credit?
So if you do a full refinance, you're actually paying off your current loan, and you have a new loan. So a lot of the times it might not make sense right now for you to do a full refinance because you have a really low interest rate. But again, you want to call in so we can determine if it is a good time, because sometimes if you're paying off debt, it makes more sense to do a cash out refi than a home equity line of credit. What a home equity line of credit does is it allows you to get a line of credit out on your home. So it allows you to access your equity without messing with that first mortgage. So it allows you to keep your 2.875 or whatever your current interest rate is, but still access cash. And it's on a line of credit. So you only pay for what you use. So you can get a line of credit for $100,000 and only use $10,000. And now your payment's only based on $10,000. When you pay that off, you no longer have a payment, but you still have access to the $100,000. So what we're doing right now is people are inquiring, and we're thinking about, okay, how do we use the home equity line of credit to save you money in other areas? So for example, you can pull out a home equity line of credit and use it to put solar on your home, and that might save you money per month. You might also want to do a home equity line of credit to pay off your credit card debts, because maybe the interest rate on the home equity line of credit is a lot less than the credit cards. So, right now, that's exactly what we're doing. We're helping people make educated financial decisions based on their mortgage.
How much does someone's credit get dinged for just checking it? Because it seems like people are very worried about that. And how much does it ding?
It's really a scare tactic in the industry, really, because every lender out there, they're so scared about somebody actually shopping around. So they use these scare tactics like, don't let anyone else run your credit. So then they don't shop. And so really it is a scare tactic. I mean, think about it. You think that the bank's really not going to allow you to shop around for a mortgage? That sounds like predatory lending, right?
Yeah.
Like, no. If you get your credit ran 12 times because you don't qualify, then it's going to start dinging your credit. And the reason why it does that is because the credit bureaus go, hold on, something's off here. Why does this person keep applying? There's something wrong. Yeah. But if they go and they shop around and they get their credit ran 3 times, it's not going to negatively impact their credit.
So back to Wendy's email, one other thing that she mentioned that I know is one of your favorite topics. Because she said we want to do improvements to our home. If they choose to do that, what are your favorite or most recommended home improvements?
Always kitchen remodel and master bathroom. And there's ways that you can do the kitchen remodel that make it a lot more affordable. So for one, if you use subcontractors opposed to a general contractor, you're assuming more of that work because you're going to have to assign the subcontractors. So you're going to have to get the cabinet guy and the tile guy to do the backsplash and the plumber. But if you do that and you sub that all out, it's going to save you a lot of money. Another thing, too, is if you take your current cabinetry and you add new doorknobs to it, and then you add, maybe you paint them instead of getting new ones. So sometimes a kitchen remodel could be a lot less than you think. And again, just shop that around.
So what about but Shelby, we want a pool. We wanted to get a backyard for our kids.
Yeah, I mean that's more of a want than a need, and it's not necessarily going to improve the value of your home. But right now, those are the times that you go after the houses that already have that stuff, because in a hot real estate market where it's a seller's market and the seller calls all the shots, you can't get the pool, the guest house, the pond, the man cave, the big garage, in the best location. You can't. But right now you can. So that's what I would say. If you're thinking about putting a pool in or, buying a house with a pool, right now is the time that you do that.
And we've talked before. The thing about that is you never get back what you pay for a pool. So if you can justify it like, well, yeah, but we're going to get so much enjoyment out of it, then that's why it's a want as opposed to something that's going to improve the value of your home dramatically. Because the average
an investment.
The average improvement on the value of your home for the kitchen remodel is what? 60%?
Oh yeah, I mean you can make 60% return on investment by remodeling your kitchen.
And bathroom 40%?
Mm-hmm.
How does a person come to a decision of how they're going to design that kitchen? Because I know there's trends.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I mean, we have no interest in selling, but I still like to look at houses. I just it's fun. For me personally, I'm a dark wood person. So all these kitchens that are white, this new thing or whatever, I flip right through. I'm like, ugh. I don't even want to look at the rest of the house. I'm like, done. If it intrigued me at all, I'm like, ooh. I'm like, done. Just because. So I'm like, gosh, that person probably remodeled that whole thing because it's the trend.
Yeah.
But not everyone likes these trends. So it's like, it seems like it'd be so hard to figure out.
I would determine, that's a great point because, again, if you're thinking about selling your house in the next 5 years, do not go with your own personal style. It's the worst thing that you can do because you're going to be selling that house. And if it doesn't appeal to everyone, then your house is going to sell for less. If this is going to be your forever home and you're never moving, then go ahead. Paint your kids' room purple and do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But if not, then you have to consider what does everyone else like right now. And that's how you remodel a home. That's why when you're going and you're looking at all these homes that investors flip, they all look the same.
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay.
And that's what's going to give you the best return on investment.
Yeah.
So let's go back to this home equity line of credit, because in the example you gave of, let's say you have a $100,000 line of credit and you only take out $10,000. You piqued my interest there because that seems like a possible recession breaker, because this is one of the things that we're getting the most questions on right now. And if you pay attention to the news, you're just getting more and more terrified. And if you pay attention to us now and then, we've been talking about how the smartest brains in America, there's a reason they're the richest people. Jeff Bezos and Jamie Dimon, they're all saying, brace for the worst. And people are going, how can it get worse? Maybe not being aware. But everybody, I mean, there's no one other than a political hack that's saying 2023 is going to be great.
Yeah.
So how do you win in a recession? What do you do? Can you win in a recession, or can you only survive?
Oh no, you could definitely win. I mean, that in 2008, everybody else had the worst time in history, and that's where I literally made my entire fortune. And you hear those stories and people wonder, how or why. But the first thing that I would do is pay attention to where you do have cash. So you have to start making really smart decisions. If you have equity in your home, then yes, take the home equity line of credit and then utilize that home equity line to make smart decisions, like analyzing your utility bill, finding out, hey, is there a way for me to save by putting solar on my house? Okay, I can get the money from here and do here and pay this off, or I can get some separate solar financing. Like, there's ways that you can save yourself money by making smart decisions. And right now is the time to review every single expense that you have and then scale back on things that you can. So a great example of that is DoorDash, right? Everybody loves DoorDash. Who wouldn't just like to just call and get your food delivered to your doorstep? It's great, but it's very expensive. So start scaling back on items like that. DoorDash, Uber, bummer, just don't drink tonight. It saves you $50 or $100. So
coffee,
things like that. Yeah. Scale it back, scale back all of your expenses. But first off, you have to review them all. Then go through all of your statements and cut back on all those unnecessary auto pays. We all have those things that we signed up for that we forgot about, that we're paying and we've been paying. It's a great trap. So cut off all the auto pays.
Like great example are the streaming services,
Yeah.
where we all bought one because there was one particular show or one particular series, and we're still paying for it, but we never go to that streaming service.
Yes.
And you could literally go to it and go, I literally have not watched this in 7 months, but I've paid whatever it is per month.
No, I completely forgot I had Disney Plus, and I had been paying for it for months without even opening the app once. And then I didn't realize it, but I had been paying for my renter's insurance for a place that I didn't even live in anymore for over a year.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I had no idea because it just kind of creeps in there. Yep. And then sometimes it's not labeled in a certain way. So you just go, okay, it's, this company, whatever, because they run through, what is it, a third party?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, oh, okay, whatever, it's $40, whatever it is. And it creeps in and that adds up. And then I start to sit here and do the math on how much that was. And it gets really depressing because that's a pair of shoes.
This was a while ago, but I was sick to my stomach. I just thought, what did we spend on Starbucks this past? It was a month, and I just started going through it. And I was like, $500 in 1 month on. I'm sorry, that is so stupid and ridiculous. But you don't I never in a million years. If you said to me, "What'd you spend on Starbucks this month?" I don't know, maybe a couple hundred or $100. Wouldn't even. I'm like, oh no, thank you. No, and I'm like, this is what they mean by your coffee money. You say you don't have any money. Look at your coffee money. We just don't realize, right? $5 here, 10 there, to do. You add it up, and you're like, holy cuss word.
No, but to that point, though, right? A lot of this is based on degree. There's a level of, okay, I'm trying to be prepared for things to get worse, or I'm trying to thrive in the recession. But you can go too far. I mean, you're not telling people to never go out to eat, are you? Or are you? Are you saying no one should be going out to dinner right now?
It all depends. If you're going paycheck to paycheck, then no, you cannot go out to dinner. Like, seriously, the worst one's like at a sushi restaurant. You're like, wow, there's an hour line. All you guys can afford to drop $150 on sushi right now. That's crazy. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, right now is the time. You don't prepare after, So right now you need to start saving up that bankroll. If you're going paycheck to paycheck, you should not be going paycheck to paycheck right now. Another thing too is like be very valuable at your job, because during a recession, that is the last time you want to cut one job off. You really need two. You need a side hustle and your regular job. And that's how you're going to get ahead in times where inflation's very high and things are getting worse. So you want to be extra valuable at your work and don't expect anything in return, because what you could potentially get in return is them keeping you on and laying somebody else off.
This was another thing we talked about just last week. Amazon, one of the most successful corporations in the history of time, laying off 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And Jeff Bezos, the founder, saying more to come, all as a result. So to the point, I think people sometimes forget that their businesses and corporations are dealing with a recession too.
Yeah.
And not every business is Amazon. There's yours, there's mine, there's the guy that owns the dry cleaner, and at some point everybody starts going, where else can I cut?
Yeah.
And if you've got an employee or two or three that are just simply not pulling their weight, and you look at how much Don talks about Starbucks money, you look at how much you're paying them and what you could do with that in other places, they're going to go.
Elon Musk fired 5,000 people and everybody's like, wait, hold on. I thought this was supposed to like collapse the business. How do you let go of 5,000 people and still, be perfectly fine or growing the platform? It's crazy, but that you have to be very valuable so that doesn't happen to you. And you have to do that up front. Do that now.
And being valuable means more than just showing up at 7:59 for your 8 o'clock shift, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And doing everything you're told.
Exactly.
I mean, what's some like for the beginner, for the paycheck to paycheck person? What's the basic how you are valuable lesson from you?
I mean, what I would be doing is whatever craft that you're in, figure out ways that you can go above and beyond. So learn more about that. If you're in a business that maybe can thrive on reviews, right? Then go and get reviews for your employer. Improve those reviews. When you're talking to a client, say, hey, do you use Yelp? Yes, I do. Okay, great. Can you please give me a Yelp review? And you get 25 Yelp reviews that week for your employer and you show them that? Oh my gosh, that's a game changer. Even though you weren't required to do it, it's going to help them in business and it's going to be massively valuable.
Phone number is 888-989-9811. We got this email from Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
Says, I'm planning on reaching out to United Wholesale Lending as I am looking to purchase my first home. I have quite a bit of debt that I'm slowly paying off, and my credit score is around 660. My question is it ever too early to contact Shelby and his team? I've been pushing it off because I'm honestly afraid of getting rejected because of my debt-to-income ratio, but I am just tired of renting. Is right now a good time to contact your team, or do you have a list of things for us to have ready before we contact you? In the future, I want to own multiple homes. I want to rent them out or use them for Airbnb. I want my money to work for me, like you always say. I honestly just don't know what or when to get started.
Yes. Well, I love that question, and it is never too early. It's a very basic conversation. We're going to go over three things. We're going to go over your credit, we're going to go over your income, and we're going to go over your down payment. And then we're going to put together a strategy. And that's why I think that this question is so great, because so many people can learn from it. What you want to do is you don't just want to contact a lender that's going to go, okay, here's what you need to get qualified. Here's your new payment. Have a nice day. You want to go over the entire strategy. So for him, he said, one day I want to own multiple investment properties. Well, how am I going to put you on the path to do that? So we can just take a minute to go over that strategy, because it's a great strategy. So you buy your first house using a minimum down payment of 3 to 5%. You live in that house for 1 year. Then you rent that house out and you keep it. And then you buy your next house and you put 5% down. You turn that one into a rental. And you continue to do this over and over and over. So you never have to put 20% down and buy an investment property. You're turning all of your primary homes that you move out of into rental properties. So you're literally building an investment portfolio, but you never even had to pay 20% down to buy an investment property. It's the best hack to build a real estate portfolio of all time. That's how every first-time home buyer should do it.
His question about do you have a list of things for us to have ready? You might, but it's not the same list for everybody. You have to talk to him first to tell him, yeah, here's what you need to do, and give us a call in 3 months or 6 months, right? I mean,
it's all very basic stuff. It's like, you got to know how much money that you make every year. Not pretty simple. A simple idea of your credit score and how much money you have in your bank. That's it. Most people know that off the top of their head, so you don't necessarily have to get all this stuff together.
That's for the initial call, but for you to tell him how you're going to get him from where he is to the plan you just laid out, you do need to talk to him to say, okay, here's what we're going to do to start that.
Yeah, exactly. I got to analyze what are your debts? What do you pay every month? How much do you end up with at the end of every month? How are we going to save more money? Sometimes I'm telling people like, hey, you got to go to your employer and ask him for a raise to this amount. It's very specific. Hey, if you want to buy a house, you need to get your income from $66,000 to $80,000, and you have to reduce these 3 expenses. And then if you want to buy another property, you need to save up $12,000 for this house. You're going to require the seller to give you a credit to cover all your closing costs, so you only need this much. And then you're going to take the next 2 years and you're going to save this much, and we're going to rent this house out to buy the next house. And now you have 2 houses, and this one's generating you cash flow. There's an actual game plan, and most people don't know how to play the game.
What I like about that guy that emailed is so many people would get frustrated if their finances are completely messed up and there's a lot of debt. A lot of people just get frustrated and think that's their life and that's how it's always going to be, and there's no way out of it. And so I love and appreciate his mindset, because I've read a million stories of people that failed miserably and were in so much debt. Some had bankruptcies and they crawled out of it. And of course it took time and a lot of work and effort, but they crawled out of it and they were able to get out of that situation. And so I love your attitude, Guy. I think you're already on your way. If you you absolutely can see yourself and a way out of it, and that doesn't have to be your life.
By the way,
that's great.
The world is littered with people also who have this plan and are paralyzed and never act on it, which is why it's never too soon to contact somebody like Shelby. And that was the perfect lead into this email from Amanda. It says, my friend who also listens to your show reminded me of Shelby. I'm looking to buy a house in the somewhat near future. I've moved in with family so that I can save some money. Few questions. My first question is, and this goes to the previous one, does he charge some kind of service fee to look at all of our personal finances? So when they call you, when this guy calls you in the previous email and says, listen, this is what I want to do, what's your fee to go all everything?
Yeah, honestly, there is no fee at all. We don't even charge, fees for doing your loan. The bank pays us to do the loan. So they pay us for the servicing rights to service your mortgage. We're not necessarily charging the consumer for advice or anything. So how I look at it, though, is the more people that I help and the better the information is, and that's why I learned so much about my craft and I practice it myself. I'm not just saying to buy investment properties. I own a ton of investment properties myself. And so when I give that information out, then they tell their friends. And then it grows my network. It grows my following. They tell people, hey, you got to go to look at Shelby's Instagram, because he's literally telling you how to win, buying real estate, paying off debt, everything that I know, I'm putting it out there. But then more and more people tell more and more people, and it grows, and we win together. All
right, so let's go to Amanda's specific situation. Remember, she's already moved in with family so she can save money. She wants to buy a house in the somewhat near future. She says, is it better to pay off my loan, doesn't say what kind of loan, which is about $9,000, or save for a down payment for the house, or maybe split half and half? I wanted to take this time to also improve my credit score, if he has any tips on that, and if he also offers that service.
Yes. As far as credit cards, what you want to do to increase your score with credit card debt is you want to actually call in and increase your limit. So if you have a $5,000 limit on a credit card, you want to call in before you max it out, and you want to say, hey, can I increase my limit to $10,000? That's going to improve your credit score, because it's going to look like you don't have your cards maxed out. Now, in terms of paying off the monthly obligation, you want to pay any card down. So you don't want to pay the whole card off. You just want to pay it down below about a 30% usage. So if your limit's $1,000, you want to pay it down to $300. Then take the other $300 that you had saved to pay that whole card off and apply it towards a different card that you have a higher limit on. That's how you're going to increase your credit score. As far as, the down payment, you have to figure out how much that you'll need for the down payment and how much debt that you're carrying. Because if you don't know, for one, what your new monthly payment's going to be on your proposed mortgage, and you don't know how much, income that you have left every month and how much all your credit card expenses are, you can't really analyze the situation of what you should do to pay it off. You have to hit all three. How much is my new payment going to be? How much money am I going to need for a down payment? And how much credit card debt do I have? Then we can make the decision on what you should do to move forward.
So you talked about the previous email, the idea of buying, consuming, maintaining rental properties, Airbnbs, things like that. Mm-hmm. Do people still flip homes? Is that still a thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How is that working in this market?
Well, I'm negotiating great deals all over the place. So right now, it is a very good time to be able to buy. One strategy that I'm using right now is I'm actually getting the seller to give me a credit for me to buy their house and flip their own home. So I'll tell you about two different properties I'm looking at right now. One, I have a property that is it's a duplex. It's in downtown Sacramento. I'm trying to buy it for $400,000. Okay, very good deal. Well, instead of paying $400,000, which I'm trying to get them to agree to, I'm going to say, how about I'll pay you $500,000, even though it's worth, say $550,000. I'm going to pay $500,000, but I want you to give me a $100,000 repair credit. Then I'm going to take that $100,000 and I'm going to repair that house with their funds that they gave to my contractor. So I'm not even going to have to pay for the rehab. Then when I get done with that, then now the house is worth $750,000, and I didn't even pay it. There's also other ways. I have another property that's downtown Sacramento. The seller wants to do a seller carryback loan, which means he wants to act as the bank. So he's allowing me to buy an investment property. He's only requiring 5% down, and he will carry the mortgage for me. So I'll just pay him, and he'll carry it at a 5% rate, which is really, really good for an investment property. For one, normally I'd have to put 25% down on that investment property, and I would have like a 7 or 8% rate. So there's deals everywhere right now.
So that's the question. Why is he doing that? What's in it for him?
Well, for him, there might be, a couple different avenues. One, maybe he's kind of retiring. He's like, you know what? I don't want to have to mess with my rental property anymore. I'm kind of over this. Maybe he lost a bunch of money in the stock market, and he's like, I need cash. So how much cash do I need? I don't need that much cash, but if I can get 5%, on this $1 million house, now it's going to give me $50,000 cash. That'll give me the cash I need, and then now I'm going to make money by him paying me the money on this note. So you just don't know anybody's position. Some people, their parents passed away and they got gifted the house. I mean, there's so many.
And it's not always a scam. Sometimes it's just a great opportunity.
It is.
All right, when you mentioned buying the duplex there, say you buy a duplex as a first-time home buyer, do you still have to put the 3 to 5% down? Or if you rent out that other side of the duplex, is that considered an investment property? And are you going to be charged a 20%?
Yes, you can buy that house with 3.5% down. You rent out one side, you live in the other side.
That's the key.
So as long as you live there, you're good.
As long as you live there. Here's another house hack while we're on that subject, okay? So if you're 18 years old, okay, or you have an 18-year-old that's going to college or something, you can co-sign with that 18-year-old. They don't need a job. They don't need any income, and they don't need to pay for the down payment. So you can, say you're 18, you say, you know what, I want to buy a house. I'm going away to college. Perfect. Go find an aunt, a grandma, an uncle, somebody in your family and say, hey, I want to invest with you. I don't have a job. I don't have any money, but I do have the opportunity for you to buy an investment property with me, and I'll live in it. If you were to buy it on your own, you'd have to put 25% down. But since I'm going to live there, You only have to put 3.5% down, and you give that as a gift to me. Now you're both winning.
Do you have to be related in that scenario?
You do have to be related.
Good.
Yep.
I wanted Kyle to hear that because I see him asking for a meeting with me after the show.
I had relatives on my mind, honestly.
Oh my god.
Uncle Rob, come on. Hook him up.
Just a duplex.
But yeah, so that's how you can do that. So now somebody can co-sign with you. You can co-sign with your son, have him live there. Then it can go even further. Now you only put 3.5% down. So, great investment. Then you have him rent out all the rooms because that's what kids do.
Right.
They don't want to live alone.
Yeah.
So they're going to rent out all the rooms. Odds are that room rent is going to pay the entire mortgage. So now you just invested with your nephew 3.5% down, which on a $500,000 house, it's like $17,500. Not a lot. If they were to go buy an investment property on their own, they'd have to put 25% down, which would be over $100,000.
Jesus. Okay, that's a big difference.
It's crazy. So there's so many hacks, and this is what we do. We just show you how to win in real estate. It really is a game,
regardless of the market. That's the trick. It's financewithshelby.com. Follow him on Instagram at Shelby Elias, Elias. Have a great Christmas, a great holiday,
Merry
and
Christmas.
you know the drill. We'll see you next year.
Rob, anybody, and Dawn. The Rob, anybody, and Dawn Show.